This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for not just living and loving but laughing along with us as we have. Maybe we should have a laugh-a-thon, but we're going to be telling you about the upcoming cut-a-thon. Ms. Darla Dilbert will share with us 1 o'clock. Our Budsman will be in the studio for an hour or so. So until then, we're going to ask you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Susan's standing by. She has food in hand, pen and paper. I don't know. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much. I think laughter is the best medicine. And you can laugh with good friends. Ms. Darla, always a pleasure to be in your company. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
You make me feel
like
$1 million.
Is that a song? You make... No, Susan plays the songs, I just listen to them.
Yes.
But that's the beauty and the blessings of this society, Every day there's an example of people doing great things, whether they have a lot or a little, whether it's a collective effort, concerted opportunity by others, or just one individual quietly making a positive difference. And I think when Sunday rolls around, in particular, we're going to see so many of us, from the different groups to the corporations to the individual to the organizations to the professionals in your industry, just coming together and making a meaningful contribution.
And actually being all one.
Oh man, that's the thing, huh?
Yeah.
Now, every year that I've been here, that you've come along sharing with us, each year I look at it, and I know sometimes it becomes a cliche, bigger and better. It's not just bigger, it's not just better, it's more encompassing. It's bringing people together.
It's more awareness. It just proves to me that the awareness is becoming bigger and more.
Yeah.
And that people are, really standing up and coming out and sharing their stories and their pain and also their support.
I always commend the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, for sort of braving the waters in the early days. And I believe that's why when we look at this cut-a-thon, and not just what it means and the impetus and the like, but the realness of it, the sincerity, and the passion, the enthusiasm, but also that togetherness of...
Yeah, those ladies are phenomenal. They really get together and they really work hard for the community. And it comes from their heart. They put the time in, and they really get out there into the community. And every year when we're actually having the cut-a-thon, they come out in droves. It's a lot of them are there, and in support, and also getting some of these services and doing the donation towards the actual event to help to raise money. And they're really great. They're phenomenal.
I think that's the thing, people, whether quietly or whether it's a public sort of demonstration or testimony, people can relate, and they see it not just as some sort of promotion or presentation or even educational awareness.
Right.
They see the impact, the positive difference, and then it becomes easier to share. People become aware of what's available, how to reach out and be supportive.
And not taboo anymore, right? It's like, because, as you know, many years ago, people didn't talk as freely as they do today. They kept a lot of it to themselves, and it is just, it's sad that a lot of people actually suffered in silence, and it took so much for us to get to where we are today.
And sadly, I mean, as you share that, we all, very close to hand can reflect on, some of our own who maybe only a few of us know, and then after we realize, oh, I didn't know. Well, we still was very quiet.
Right.
It's not only the nature of people, maybe the ethos of the culture, but it's just that it was taboo. And when you talk about suffering in silence, it drives it home how important it is, but also how if we able to bring awareness and education, people can see a quality of life and see that life extended.
Well, I am a big advocate for talking, sharing, and really, not keeping things in silent or to myself, because I think talking, and like you were saying earlier, laughing and crying and all the different emotions that we can get out it is better for us, because then we don't hold all of that in. And I honestly believe that a lot of that causes disease.
Yeah.
So, stress of any sort and so forth. So we need to be letting it out more so.
But this is the beautiful part about the Cutathon on Sunday. It's for those who have never been, and it's festive. You understand why we're there, what it is, and the seriousness of it. Yeah. But there's a jovial, communal, almost.
You actually feel like you're walking in the cloud most of the time because you're such on a high, and the energy around you is also on a high, that you kind of feel like you're in this nice glass bottle.
But the beautiful part,
but all fun.
Yeah, you don't necessarily come off that. You see it, and it's a momentum that propels you forward to realize, what impact. Maybe it's the person who's decided, to raise funds and have, her hair or his hair cut. It may be that person who was organizing and happened to raise funds. It could be the participant.
Right.
You could just come there and say, I need to get a haircut anyway.
We have on the actual day, I've noticed a lot more in the last few years. We've had a lot of ladies in particular that have come and not necessarily raised money as a sponsored participant, but just want to donate their hair, cutting 10 to more inches off.
Wow.
And that has been phenomenal. And most of them, like I say, have a story behind it.
That's the thing, it's that story. I mean, this is a society of storytellers. Spending the hours we would on the porches at night when the seafarers would return.
Right.
But those stories make a difference. They're meaningful.
Very meaningful.
They're not just relatable, relevant to us, but we actually know the people. We understand what has transpired and why this thing is now where it's at.
So important to get it out there.
Yeah. So Sunday, what would be?
So we're asking everyone to come out, especially the people that want to have their hair cut, to have it washed and wet beforehand. So, because it's going to be first come, first serve when it comes to the haircuts. We're going to cut men, women, and children. We've got some really great prices, slashed into half or less. Every dollar that is being raised on that day goes towards the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens Breast Cancer Awareness Fund. We'll also be doing $1 a minute massages, which is quite popular. We'll be doing mini manicures and eyebrow threading. And in the last year and this year, we decided to add $2 a minute reflexology. So that's, quite a bit of nice services there that you can get, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if you want up to 45 minutes of massage and really relax, but think about the cause at the end of the day. Like you helped, you're a part of all that excitement, all of that greatness.
Yeah, I guess we all know reflexology, but many of us have, some of us haven't done it. What is it, and what would that involve if you wanted to do reflexology?
Okay, reflexology is done mainly on the hands, the feet, and you can have it in the ears, depending on the therapist that does it. It's the foot and the hands have like a map on it that matches. So I'm trying to say this as layman term as possible. That matches the different organs in the body. And so the therapists use pressure points on those organs. And a lot of times what it'll do is actually make the person aware if there's something going on in that particular area or not. So if you're, nicely healthy and there's no issues, it's going to be more of a relaxation, foot or hand massage. But if there's something else going on, you're going to feel a little discomfort. I wouldn't say pain, but you're going to know, okay, maybe I need to detox that area a little bit, or maybe I need to, check that out or whatnot. So it's a service that I would recommend everybody to try and have, at least every few months, because it's a natural way to know, am I in good health?
Yeah, you look at it, you may be, you don't mind the picture of health, but you can't see internally. And even though you may have your checks, sometimes, just the hands and your feet, the two parts that are
and it might just be
motion.
stress. That area might just be stress. It might just be that the muscles are extremely tight, but your foot's going to tell you, So it is a really nice service. And I thought, massage is so popular. Why not add the reflexology? Because it's not as popular on this side of the world, but becoming more, and everyone can benefit from it.
All right, well, I'm going to invite you to share more with us, and for those, this Sunday at, Eclipse in Kamana Bay. From what time?
It's 2 till 6. I recommend that people get out as early as possible because, as I mentioned, it's first come, first serve. So we sign you up right away, and hopefully be able to get you out of there, within a reasonable time. But we don't mind people staying around and mingling and socializing with us, because that's what happens a lot. We have a lot of returning visitors every year. And this year in particular, again, we have our TG supporters that are here to help us do cuts and makeup. But we've added another stylist from TG International Academy volunteer to come out. So we have 3 international educators from TG joining us this year. Wow. And I've decided to put them all behind the chair for most of the 4 hours.
So who knows, you may end up behind there.
Right.
Could get mine.
You might end up behind there, and you're going to be in good hands anyway, because all of the stylists, are extremely well educated and seniored in their profession. You've got Privy, you've got other stylists from Eclipse, Hair Design and Day Spa. You have Spa Spree, you have Focus, and you have your TG International educators.
All right, well, we can tell you more about it. So we invite you to stay tuned. 949-8037. You can call and share your thoughts. I mean, often you get a chance to chat with Miss Darla right here. Ask Darla, the expert. Or 1-800-534-8255. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Autumn is here, and Ed says, Anita, let's have a huge sale September 26, 27, 28, and 29. So what do? I bring the savings to you. Stop by International Lighting and save 20 to 50% off selected items, including chandeliers, ceiling fans, light fixtures, and LED bulbs. While you're there, go upstairs to the Bathroom Palace and take 20% off bathroom cabinets. Don't miss the linen department. Take 20 to 50% off rugs, sheets starting at $14, 8-piece comforters from $48, curtains starting at $6, 20% off all household items. International Lighting and Design, upstairs and downstairs, Ed's Plaza North Sunway. Open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 949-5141. And for outdoor shopping, stop by the entrance of the Buddentown Church of God Chapel Saturday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and take 20% off items. In addition to all of these savings, spend $25 or more and be entered in the drawing for a chance to win a round trip to Denver, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, Miami, Jamaica, or Honduras. Drawing will take place on December 22nd.
Did you know that you can download free hurricane preparedness brochures from the Water Authority's website? Visit us online at www.waterauthority.ky to learn more about how you can prevent damage and minimize danger in the event of a storm. Prepared, be aware, be safe. This hurricane preparedness tip is brought to you by Water Authority Cayman, suppliers of the world's most popular drink.
It's your time, Cayman Islands. Time to have your say. The Cayman opposition will be hosting community meetings to discuss the future of Cayman's cruise industry. Get the accurate industry figures and ensure you have your say. Does Cayman lag behind our competitors? What are the complaints from passengers? And are tenders workable? Get the truth and help ensure Cayman's future cruise industry remains bright. Phase 1 of the opposition island-wide meetings will take place at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 2nd, Northside Civic Center. Wednesday, October 3rd, Town Civic Center. And Thursday, October 4th, Savannah Primary School Hall. Phase 2 of the district meetings will be scheduled next week. It is your time, Cayman Islands. It is time to have your say. The Cayman opposition, safeguarding our future.
CUC advises customers in the Pedro Castle Road area in Savannah that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Saturday, September 29th between 8:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Pedro Castle Road from the junction with Shamrock Road, including Homestead Crescent from the United Church East to Domino's, Astral Way, Sandy Ground Drive from the junction with Pedro Castle Road to house number 134, West Lane, Adams Lane, Charity Lane, Pedro Villas Lane, and all side roads. Houses 1742, 1803, 1828, and the Church of God Full Gospel Hall on Shamrock Road will also be affected. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing Pedro Castle Road, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in this area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to upgrade lines and poles in the area. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us, and it truly is an honor, a genuine privilege to always have the chance not only to speak with Starla Dilbert, but to be inspired by her business acumen, what do you call it, a strong community spirit that you exhibit year on year. And this cutathon is just only another testament to your genuine, sincere, truly wonderful nature. So
thank you
it's
so
a pleasure.
much. Today I'm really working off of your energy.
Well, hey, listen, that's what we do. We remain positive and focused. We encourage and inspire others. That builds, in somebody else,
Absolutely.
a similar outlook. Hey.
If we were all walking around with a smile on our face all the time, the world would be a lot happier.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I know what, a smile. What's that? Very, very small, that song, Smile a While.
Right.
Right. No, yes. I'm not singing today, people. Don't get excited. But that smile, that laugh, that positive energy, I think if people honestly haven't come out to the cutathon year in and year out,
right,
and the industry experts, if I can call them, from all of the different salons that you have there in partnership, they're working, if not harder, just as hard, if not harder.
Giving up their time, their actual personal time.
And the work that they produce. I mean, I went in there one time and I came out and someone, hey, look, it's Tom Cruise. I'm like, no, it's just me. I mean, they did it.
It was one time. It was only one time. I thought it was more than one.
Yeah, well, the other time they say, oh, is that Kevin Costner? No, so Danny DeVito. No, but they do a great job, and it's the same level of professionalism, attention to detail. It's not like they're pushing you in and out. They're actually. I won't say who it was, but I was just standing there reading, and there was a mother with a child. I wouldn't say a boy or a girl. And obviously as a family they were participating for whatever reason.
Right.
So she must have been with one of the salons that perhaps not their regular. And the mother was giving instructions. But before she could, the fellow was saying, okay, well, I see you've been doing this, is this where you want to continue? And being familiar with sitting in chairs waiting for families to get their, their hair done, the salonist, is that a word? The stylist. And for me it's the victim, but the customer, there's an interaction. What would you like to do today? And this guy was doing the same thing, taking time, checking and the little clips up and down and moving it around and say, well, how about this? And I'm thinking, wow, it wasn't like, okay, sit on here. Nope. He took time, asked her, the mother what it was. It is.
It's an art, and it's not as easy as it looks.
Well, you make it look easy.
That's the thing. We're magicians sometimes.
Well, that's it. I mean, I got accused of being Tom Cruise, and then they turned around and said, no, I'm taller. Ooh.
But yeah, it is, you get good stylists.
Yeah.
And they really... It's like an artist is sitting there and they see the picture in front of their head. And now they have to then put it on the canvas.
Okay. Step a little closer to the mic and we'll give you a prize. No, just kidding. That is the wonderful voice of Miss Darla Dilbert, and I think you, the team at Eclipse, but as you said also, of your colleagues in the industry who have come on board Sunday, year in and year out, many of them, they've been there with you,
Yeah, I'm really thankful. Like several members on my team alone they're in their 10th year.
Wow.
So it's really good to know that you have, like I said, we have that continuous support all of the time. Next year, I think I'm going to step out of the box a little bit and maybe approach one or two newer salons that have come along in the last few years. This year, it wasn't feasible time-wise for me because I pretty much took the baby on 100% myself this time. But, yeah, I think I'm going to step out of the box a little bit and bring a few newer people on because at some stage someone else is going to have to take the mantle up for me.
Well, as we talk about the annual cut-a-thon over at Eclipse, I think only because of our conversations with the good people at Lions Club Tropical Gardens, we know their initiatives. And when it comes to their breast cancer, not just the education and awareness, but the funding, providing vouchers for people to go get mammograms and all the other things. We know that is costly, and it may help that person who may not feel like she has that money then, or inclined to spend it because there's school fees, there's all these other things, and there's no reason because there are no symptoms, there's nothing.
Well, that's it. It's for the families that just need that extra help. So that they can focus more on their kids' education or whatever the deal might be. It's such a good feeling to know that you're touching so many different lives indirectly.
That's it.
So not only the person that may be suffering from the disease and going through it, but their family also.
Yeah. And when you share that every single penny that you raise, goes straight to their fund. That is, there's no money taken out for this or that.
We take no money out.
Yeah.
What we put in, it's put in on our behalf.
Yeah.
But every dime that we actually raise through the volunteer participants and the services that are done on the day and all of the products and whatnot that we sell through the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens or on our own, we donate right back to the cause.
Yeah, man. And this is, people know if they go to the physician for a checkup, whether it's fully covered insurance, no insurance, otherwise, it costs a few dollars. But that's money well spent if it helps that early detection and gives you, a chance at a better life, longer life, healthier life.
No, I have no problem at all with putting in the time, putting in the money, putting in the smiles, putting in the sweat, whatever it takes, to make it happen and to make it successful. Because I know at the end of the day, I have saved lives.
And what is wonderful is that, especially on that day, to see the many families that are there, not just the parents with their children, but even some of the children with their aunts, uncles, or even extended families, grandparents.
Right. Yeah.
And they're out there, and there's a there's a banter, but there's also a talk. There's a reminder of, when... And
back to the stories.
Yeah, you see, back to the stories.
Back to the stories, yeah.
And
this year, we have 15 sponsored participants up to date. Sometimes one or two will come on at last minute, so we still look forward to maybe one or two more. But there's the youngest participant this year. She lost her father to cancer, Jana Lee, and, her story is so sad. Yeah. And I know that, she needs all the help that she can get to help her raise that sponsorship money. So I'm just putting it out there for anybody who, would like to help her sponsor this event. She would really appreciate it. So give us a call around that. But she, her story.
How would they call you? What's the best way to contact if they want to?
You can call us at 945-1188.
So Eclipse directly? Okay.
To Eclipse directly. Or you can email us at eclipse@eclipse.ky.
Right. And the thing is, for those who are involved, obviously know that this is therapeutic for many. It gives them not just a sense of purpose, but they see that they're making a difference, that they can make a difference, that whatever is transpired, it's not the end of it. They can now move forward and make something better.
You know what's really touching is that in the last few years we've seen people that did it years ago and have come back, meaning the sponsored volunteers, coming back to help raise more money again. And this year alone, I think we have, out of those 15 so far, about 5 returners. And it's really, really touching. Yeah, because that they are so dedicated.
Yeah, and they see the positive difference that they've made. They see what their continued efforts can do.
Right.
And that, combined initiative, I think we all have not just a special place, but we see the incredible respect that we hold for the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens in particular with their initiatives. That everybody...
They have, they have the joy. They feel the joy. They feel what I feel in a slightly different way. It's such a feeling to know that you're a part of this great event that is going to touch lives one way or the other and save lives.
Exactly.
So I think they actually have that feeling that I have when I do it, and that's why they've come back for more. They just want more, which is great, and I love it, and I am welcoming everybody to do that, to come out and just get more of that feeling.
This Sunday, 2 to 6 at Eclipse. When you come back, maybe remind us of the different services that are available, make sure people know what to do. Maybe tell us about some of the participating salons and the like. Hey, that's, the good company and the opportunity to speak with Ms. Darla Dilbert. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Want to give us a quick shout? Go right ahead. Just a reminder, after our headline news at 1, we get a chance to speak to the Ombudsman, Sandy Emerson, together with Mr. John Lieber. So that's what's on schedule. But until then, the wonderful company of Darla Dilbert. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount, or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Not all insurance is created equal, but who has the time to shop around? Take the guesswork out of your insurance coverage with Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Let us match you with the best coverage to suit your needs at a price to suit your wallet. Plus, get superior customer service from dedicated claims professionals to ensure speedy claims processing. Get your insurance through Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Honey!
Our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Le Classique's tent sale is this Saturday at the Trilogy Building on Mary Street, 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Ladies and men's footwear up to 75% off. Clearance prices as low as $10. Don't miss the shoe-tacular deals at Le Classique's tent sale this Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Trilogy Building on Mary Street.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And yes, we are laughing on air and during the break. How can you not laugh, love, and celebrate life if you have the good company of Donna Dilbert? Honestly, you are, one of those,
I'm taking all of this away with me today, and I'm going to hold on to it for weeks to come.
I agree with that, Miss, with a pleasant disposition, just full of positive energy. As we're talking about the annual cuttathon, over the eclipse this Sunday, Miss Darla, we do have a caller online.
Okay.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dwayne and Carla, my favorite hairdresser. Now, I want to congratulate you on you got to be one of the smartest businesswomen in Cayman.
Thank you.
No, really, I remember when you started, you had that little place and you just moved and you went ahead and you kept growing. Now, I think you're probably the most popular of all the hairdressers in Cayman. So that makes me very proud.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hard work pays off, man. But I join you. She is a remarkable lady.
Great personality, wonderful smile, everything that goes with good business, good business person. Oh. But I just wanted to call in today, and you probably know by now that one of my pet peeves is the cancer societies and the different ones that promote these things and talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer Society started in 1944 that they started this thing.
In the U.S., you're talking?
Pardon me?
1944 in the U.S.?
In the U.S., yeah.
Okay, yes, sir.
And since that time, with all the money they have been collecting over the years, talking about they're going to looking for research and stuff, make the story short, they haven't found anything yet, or they haven't at least not told anybody about it. But something that happened recently that makes me know that this is one of the, in my opinion, now I'm not, because I do justice to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine that time and they haven't. Now there is a cancer cure that has been on for the last, I think, about 20 years. Nobody in the Cancer Society, in the American Cancer Society, has said anything about it. By the way, the lady who's in charge of that is making get $1 million something a year in her salary, plus all the other benefits. What I'm trying to say is this: the Johns Hopkins Hospital, one of the great cancer hospitals, has just decided enough is enough, and they have stopped using chemo and radiation because they have the cure, and they said it's not right to the public to continue to treat cancer with something we're told about on the one hand by the Cancer Society. Don't get out in the sun because the radiation will give you cancer.
Right.
And yet, what we use for cancer? Radiation. Chemo, which was used by the Germans to kill the Jews, we're using that.
No, but as we listen to you, I mean, that's the good thing with these programs is that it gives people a chance, perhaps through the virtual program for the mammograms, a chance for early detection
right.
that may lead. And I understand the callers, sort of perspective. So thank you, sir, for sharing. But Sunday is a positive day. It's a day of hope and celebration. I hope to be reminded of that loved one as well. You know?
Our main thing is to try to get the awareness to help prevent, people from getting to that point and being put in that position. So we really drive forward, the awareness, making sure that women and men get out there and make sure that they're, treated and tested and get their mammograms done and so forth every year or every couple of years that they're required to do it, depending on age and so forth, so that they don't have to go to that point. Yeah. And it is quite sad when it actually gets beyond that. And hopefully, the rest of the world and us will one day have that cure, but at the time right now we don't have it available. So
yeah, and accessible, as you said, men and women. So men should not look at breast cancer and think that it's women only.
Right? No, it is women and men for sure. So we have to make sure that men especially know that, and that they need to. And it's gotten a lot better over the years, with the support that I see coming forward with men that are willing to come forward and cut their hair and shave their head and coming out with their wives or coming out with their children and calling and doing the donations. And I'd like to take this opportunity, to thank a lot of the individuals and the companies that have supported us this year. I mean, just yesterday we got an email from, a company, London and Amsterdam, saying that they raised, quite a few $1,000s for us, which we were very thankful for. We've got, places like Cayman National Bank, who has come forward and, given us a donation and also done a dress down day for us. We've got places like Baden and Baden that we'd want to, send out a big thank you to also, because they did the same thing, giving us a donation and is going to be doing a dress down day for us. We've got, the different radio stations that I'd like to shout out and say thank you, and so much to yourself too, Dwayne, for having me on these every year and several times each year to spread this awareness, throughout our community. We've got, TG and, Vera Beauty who come forward every year to support us in this cause and have given us tons. By the way, I want to shout out to the slumber party. It's tomorrow night. And for those of you that are, hee-hawing a bit, should I go, should I not? Let me tell you, the goodie bag that we're giving away at the slumber party tomorrow night is going to be double the price. So it is worthwhile coming out, because you are going to be getting double worth what your ticket is, plus that money's also going to the cause. It's also going to the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, Breast Cancer Awareness Fund. So please come out and join us. It's going to be a fun-filled weekend, and all in good cause. I'd like to, say a few other names out there, like Paradise Praxi, Fast Signs, DART always helps us. We've got Triflactor Films coming out to take our pictures this year. These are young entrepreneurial Caymanians that I am so happy that have come on board with us. Chandra, coach, and she's going to be shaving her head. She's got a whole theme around it this year called Shaven, which is really exciting. And don't forget that we're also selling T-shirts for $10. So if you want to come and, purchase one of the T-shirts, the full $10 also go to the cause. We've got several other little knickknacks also at the salon spa that you can come and purchase, and those dollars also go straight to the cause. And then we have our raffle that will continue to keep going throughout the whole month of October, where you can put $10 in and have the opportunity to win, a gift certificate valued over $100 in some cases, but in most cases at least $100. So you've got dinners from, the Lobster Pot, Bandidos. You've got certificates from Foster's, Casanovas, Camana Bay, us, Eclipse Hair Design and Day Spa, Petite Paris, Raid Sales has also, given us a gift certificate. So I'm so thankful to all of these companies that give us these things so we can in turn go forward and raise money for the cause through them. And so I wanted to say thank you to, everybody. And if I've forgotten your name, please, it was not done purposely. I do thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I
can see it, man. It's people who know, and people who don't will get a perspective. Quick question, this was asked, of the slumber party, how to get tickets, where... Is it too late?
They're being sold at 107. So if you go by DMS, you can get them there. They're $60 a ticket. And if you go on Eclipse's Hair Design and Day Spa Facebook page, or I think it's 107 page, you'll actually see the backpack with all the some of the goodies. I don't think they had put them all in the picture yet, but it is well loaded. It's a beautiful backpack to start off with. The backpack itself is, probably several dollars, and then you're going to get all of these goodies, especially from all the different companies that Eclipse, sell products for. So it's going to be like more than worth your $60 in donation to the cause.
And it goes to the cause.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, looking forward to seeing you guys on Sunday, man. 2 to 6.
2 to 6. I can't wait to get it on with, and just let's raise as much money as we can. Come out and join us, even if it's to just have 5-minute massage, whatever. Every dollar is going to count, and we're going to try our best not to turn away anybody. So get there as soon as you can so we can get you down on the list and we can just chuck along and make sure that everybody gets that service done. Just remember the last hour is always a little busier because that's the hour we're going to be doing all the sponsored volunteers. So you want to get there much earlier so you can get your service done.
All right, so from that haircut, just bring it washed and wet?
Come washed and wet, and that's all we need.
There you go.
Is your body there with your head, and we're going to give you a nice haircut.
Hey, thank you, for your efforts collectively, and to all your team and all of the industry partners. See you guys on Sunday, 2 to 6.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Happy weekend, Cayman.
There we go. We're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, please join us as we tell you about the International Right to Know Day. Our ombudsman and their deputy will be with us. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
Tourism Association gears up to host its Water Sports Safety Forum next Wednesday. CETA's project coordinator Leanna Jarvis said it's aimed at giving residents and visitors a better understanding into the do's and don'ts of what to do in and around our seas. The Water Sports Safety Forum takes place on Wednesday, October 3rd at the South Sound Civic Center starting at 7 p.m. For more information, check out ceta.ky/shareourseas. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Facebook has said almost 50 million of its users were left exposed by a security flaw. The company said attackers were able to exploit a vulnerability in a feature known as View As to gain control of people's accounts. The breach was discovered on Tuesday, Facebook said, and it has informed police. Users that had potentially been affected were prompted to relog in on Friday. Rose McGowan has apologized for a statement she made in August about fellow actress Asia Argento. Argento threatened to sue McGowan over claims she made about Argento and her former co-star Jimmy Bennett. Posting on Twitter, McGowan said her earlier statement contained facts that were not correct and that she regretted not apologizing sooner. Argento denied any sexual contact with Bennett after he accused her of sexually assaulting him when he was 17. And she says she's a black Bill Gates in the making who ain't never seen a ceiling in her whole life. So it's hardly surprising that Beyonce has been named music's most powerful woman by BBC Radio 4's Woman's Hour. The superstar came first in a list of the industry's 40 most influential women thanks to her feminism, activism, and empowering musical messages. Taylor Swift and Adele were also included on the power list. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
It's big, it's hot, and it's sizzling.
Super Stitch is making way for Christmas stock and is having a mad end of summer fabric clearance at Super Stitch Fabrics on September 27, 28, and 29th.
Fabric for dresses, fabric for skirts, fabric for blouses. Super Stitch even has fabric to cover your chairs and your what's it not. No, me what's it not. It's the biggest fabric clearance of the year, so don't miss it. 25% off most fabric.
50% off suiting fabric. Great discount on household items.
Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Open a world of knowledge and education with Flow. Bundle now and get smart back-to-school savings on Cayman's biggest network. Get 50% off HD quality Flow Evo TV and superfast broadband bundles now from $49.50 a month. And you could win one of 4 weekly laptop prizes from Flow and Office Supply. Enjoy TV on your mobile with Flow to go and bring the classroom home with Flow Study. Do the smart thing and bundle smarter for back-to-school with Flow. Visit discoverflow.ky for details. Terms and conditions apply.
CUC advises customers in the Pedro Castle Road area in Savannah that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Saturday night between 8:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Pedro Castle Road from the junction with Shamrock Road, including Homestead Crescent from the United Church East to Domino's, Astral Way, Sandy Ground Drive, from the junction with Pedro Castle Road to house number 134, West Lane, Adams Lane, Charity Lane, Pedro Villas Lane, and all side roads. Houses 1742, 1803, 1828, and the Church of God Full Gospel Hall on Shamrock Road will also be affected. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing Pedro Castle Road, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in this area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to upgrade lines and poles in the area. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on this wonderful, fantastic Friday afternoon, and honored to be able to have it in the studio now. I think it's my first wonderful opportunity to welcome, Miss Sandy, thank you so much. And Jan, you've been here all along, Jan Liebers, and as we look at, what is now I guess what the media has called it, super ombudsman to some extent. We had a chance to share with them, and as we celebrate International Right to Know Day, people are becoming increasingly aware and accessing the wonderful benefits and opportunities that our legislation has allowed. So as we welcome you to share with us, get people to understand the workings of the office, become more familiar, and not be perturbed by the fact that there was this combination that, hey, it's to our benefit. So welcome, and I trust that we'll enjoy ourselves as we inform our audience. Ms. Andy, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Right. And always a pleasure. Even though Belgium might be near the top with the World Cup, we should be good.
It is near the top. Unfortunately, not at the top.
See, winning by one goal is better than losing by one goal, right? But it's fun. Next time.
That's what it came down to. One goal.
One goal. That's it, man. When we look at this sort of almost a global perspective to how people understand that under freedom of information, that and develop, evolve sort of civil society, having this government present information almost without prompting, that we can access it, whether this legislation being accessible online or at the library or somewhere, or whether it's a particular project the government has done, and here is, what transpired. You become almost second nature. But it takes an effort to get there. We've made some good strides. We continue to champion such. From your perspective, Ms. Sandy?
Well, I think that Cayman's doing a very good job of accessing information or having information accessible. Jan reminded me that in January it'll be 10 years that the legislation will be in place. And I think that a lot has happened in those 10 years. And I think that this government is working towards trying to be transparent as much as possible. There are always things to improve, of course, but I think that Cayman has quite an active access to information
user base.
User base, thank you. User base, that's the right word. And Jan was saying that we're in the top 5 or something in terms of the numbers worldwide of users accessing information.
Mm-hmm. And that's commendable when you think about it, that a population and this size, that legislation, relatively new to us, our people are understanding it, or requesting the government, getting to a point where as the governments come and go, they start to, come to expect that they're going to be required as a matter of course to put information in the public domain.
Yeah, I mean it should become second nature to both the citizens and to civil servants. It should be, and it is to some degree. Per capita, Cayman is amongst the highest users of freedom of information around the world, which is good because we know that people know about it and are using it. But it also, of course, could mean that a lot more could probably be published proactively by the government because, is it good or is it bad if you have a lot of FOI requests? I don't know.
One of the things that I have identified as something that I'd like to work on is having things like government policies put up on the website so that an FOI request doesn't need to be made. That isn't always the case. Yeah,
I think sometimes too people may not, they're not accustomed to it as yet as we're increasingly becoming, but they're probably not aware about this is something that should be out there. We're still old habits sometimes need to be retrained, right?
And we find to our surprise every year we find that there are still people that don't know about freedom of information. We're surprised by that after all these years and after it being in the papers and all of that regularly. There are always people that still don't know about it, and that's why something like International Right to Know Day is important because we're here, we're talking about it, and we're hopefully getting more people aware that the legislation exists.
And this is why to our listeners, having this opportunity to speak with you, to share about the office and the importance of the legislation, the public sort of educational I don't want to say campaigns, but awareness programs that you want to take in here and on the sister islands gives the people a chance to put a face to the office, become aware of where it's located, how and when you can, but also we don't necessarily look at this. That's maybe this is under the scope of the judiciary, but increasingly there are things, and now with the police. And could we ask you Well, first off, some of the rights that people may have under the Freedom of Information Law to access information. Can they request this, and then also identify some of the things that this specifically is still not within the remit.
Well, you can ask for anything, and that's the thing. Sometimes it's best not to try to determine what you shouldn't ask for, but rather ask for everything that you want, and then allow the authority to respond and tell you whether or not you can have it all. So there are certain exemptions in terms of things that the authority will not disclose, and they can be things like personal information. That you don't want the authority disclosing information about you to someone else. And there are other exemptions like national security and police enforcement, and
there's a number of them.
Including
legal
privilege.
And they're very specific. Our medical records and the like. But nonetheless, there's still a lot of information. Let's ask. We had an email. I'll try to find it. That came in that was asking, if I request information on a post within the civil service, I can get salary range, I can get things, but there are certain things that isn't available, but there's still a lot that you can determine, even interviews for postings and how did it go, how was the thing conducted. A lot of information would be available to the public.
Yes, that's true, but information about an individual candidate may not necessarily be available, because that could be, there's a lot of information that could be quite personal to that individual, and so you don't have a right to have that information.
One of the ways that we draw a line, excuse me, and that the law draws a line in the regulations particularly, is between where someone is acting in a public capacity as a public officer, and then their name and a number of their work and so on, to the extent that it's not exempted in some other way, should be made available. But of course, civil servants still also have a private life. They still have a health record, and they still have their kids and their bank and this and that, which is private. So it's not because you work for government that everything is going to be made available. Of course,
there are some who believe that should be you work for government, everything you do, but there's a private aspect. With that in mind, though, this is just for the public sector, not the private sector. The information that you ask in the government, you can't ask of a private entity.
Correct. Which is different than the data protection law, which is going to apply to both public and private.
Right.
Yes, but freedom of information is all about accessibility to the public service.
Well, I must,
and I should say, because government regulates a lot of private industries, government, of course, has a lot of information about private companies and private individuals as well, and that information does fall under the FOI law. However, there are exemptions that relate to some of these things, like that protect commercial interests or that protect personal information, that sort of thing. So even if it is about that kind of situation, you can still ask for the information. Government may still have it. Whether you receive it or not would depend on whether it's exempt or not.
But best to be told no because you've asked, than not to ask and not sure.
That's exactly right. Don't censor yourself.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you don't think that you agree with the decision that has been made about whether you can have the information or not, there are a couple of opportunities to have that reviewed. First of all, internally by the chief officer, and then if you're not satisfied with that review, you can come to our office and ask for an appeal, and we will have a look at it. Of course, first what we do is we try to resolve it informally, and if we're not able to do that, then we proceed to a hearing and a decision.
All right, in the studio, if you wish to call and share a thought, please, we give you a couple of opportunities. First, you can WhatsApp 925-3261, or you can call us. Much better, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion. We have a chance to speak with the Ombudsman, Ms. Anna Merson, together with Mr. Jan Liebers as we take your calls. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Save the dates, Cayman, for HomeFest 2018. Cayman's Home Expo. Join A.L. Thompson's and more than 60 exciting vendors Friday and Saturday, September 28th and 29th. Why does Home Fest get bigger each year? Because you ask for it. You want new products, more demos, and more interaction, so we bring them to you. If you want cutting edge and once-a-year savings, join us for Cayman's Home Expo. It's Home Fest at A.L. Thompson's.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's eye exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Save 50% off a complete pair of glasses with any student eye exam. Now extended until September 28th. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook, located in the Caymanian Village. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's new kitchen and bath center.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Truly, Ms. Sandra Hermiston, our ombudsman, together with Jan Lieber's deputy. What information rights, right? Is where your section falls under. That's right. Yeah, man. Hey, we have the right to information. We have freedom of information legislation, and almost 10 years we've been celebrating it. It's important for us to see. For those who are unsure or maybe a little bit, timid, perhaps, have a little bit of a reservation, kind of tentative. What would be the way to go about, requesting information under the FY law?
Well, if you know what the information is and where how to contact that entity, then of course you're set. But if you don't, our website actually has a listing of all of the contact people and the list of information managers for all of the entities who are subject to FOI. So you can go on our website and look it up there. You can call our office if you're not able to access the website, and someone will point you in the right direction. The other thing about being shy is that you might be concerned about them knowing who's asking, and under the FOI law, you have the right to make an anonymous request. So that's something else that can give people some sense of comfort, perhaps, if they are feeling reluctant because they're somehow afraid. Now, I am not aware of a situation where anyone has suffered repercussions for asking for information that they were entitled to receive. But if you are nervous about it, that is a choice you can make, and you can be anonymous.
Mm-hmm. And I would just add that the request does have to be made in writing, but email is fine. So you can contact people. You can't just call in a request. You would have to make it in writing.
So you can make set up an email account, send it in.
Absolutely.
And that information comes back to you.
That's right. There has to be some kind of way that you can be contacted, of course. So that could be an email, or it could be a postal address or something, or it could be, some other way, a fax number. But it doesn't have to be your real name. Yeah.
I'll probably choose Susan Watson. It's not my real name, but I can use that. Put a famous name. She said no.
One of our frequent flyers is Mickey Mouse.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I like him too much.
and I don't think it's the same Mickey Mouse every time.
But it necessarily won't ask of that now, for the way in. But I think that's something that hopefully as we go forward as a society, there'll be times when people want to remain anonymous that we get to a point where, one, hopefully we don't have to make requests because the information is already there, but when we do, we can do so freely and openly.
Yes.
When information, so someone, whether under, her own name or whether he uses some, pseudonym or otherwise, that information is requested and then received. Is that information then public? What can that person do with that information, or that group, or as it is?
The idea is that if it's if it's made available under the law, then it's made available really to the world at large. That's the principle. The only situation where that doesn't apply is if you ask for your own personal information, which you may get, but then of course it doesn't mean everyone else should be able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there should be. So if one person can see general information, not personal information relating to you, then really anyone could see it. So yeah.
I guess it should be obvious, but just to emphasize, maybe clarify if necessary. If a person is asking information on him or herself, that person obviously needs to prove, well, I'm John Ebanks, I'm asking.
Exactly. That's the one time where you can't be anonymous. You actually are going to have to prove that you are the person who's...
In that instance, and only given the conversation I had earlier, if someone wants information on herself, any and every government agency, whether it's immigration, hospital, police, courts, I don't know, video game, can they go to that particular agency and say, well, I want to see what you have on me? I mean, how does that work?
Well, again, it has to be done in writing.
Right, right.
So email is easiest usually, but it can be done in any written form. And also, the law says that where there is an administrative procedure in place. So, if you, for instance, say you go to Lands and Survey and you want to get certain information about, the land that your house is on or something, you could say, well, that's my information. I want it under FOI. But if they have an established fee for that, then that remains in place. So you can't bypass any existing fees by using freedom of information. Yeah.
The other thing about personal information that will be reinforced very shortly is the data protection law. And so your rights with respect to personal information are going to be enhanced. So right now you can ask for your personal information and not much else. But under data protection law, you're going to be able to ask them to correct information about you if it's wrong. You're going to be able to ask them to remove information about you if you don't want them to hold it any longer. The right to be forgotten. You can ask mass marketers to take your name off a list. Another one, I guess, is that you can ask for electronic decisions that are made, processing decisions that are made, such as nowadays you can often apply for a loan or a credit card online and you get the decision automatically because it's being processed not by a person. You can ask for that to be processed by a person. So there are information rights that will be enhanced by the new data protection law when it relates to personal information.
And that, I think, mindful that's not that far away when this comes into force, huh?
Yes, it's as far as we understand it, it's scheduled to come into force at the end of January of 2019.
Yeah, and in FOI, there's a provision that the exemption relating to personal information doesn't apply if you are asking for your own information. So that's the extent of your right, basically. But under data protection, it's an actual right. So it's a much more strongly worded, provision.
Now, law enforcement, whether it's judiciary or whether it's policing, whether it's a historical thing or whether it's something ongoing, you go to the police and say, I see your van parked outside my door, I don't know, your drone overhead, or I heard this, I want to know what you have on me. Can we act? How would that work?
Well, where the disclosure would affect an ongoing, an investigation or a trial, or a prosecution, that is actually protected, because that's exactly one of the situations, of course, that you want to avoid, is that information is abused in that sense. You need to give space to some of these entities, such as the police, to do their job, and sometimes that requires that the information has to remain withheld.
All right. We were having this almost academic discussion, and I'm hoping to be able to maybe reach out to you if I can get these guys in there. it was just an academic, couple of guys talking. You know, when lawyers sometimes don't have anything else to do, just get down. Sorry. My friends are like, yeah, you're buying tonight. Sure, they're going to order expensive food. But they were just chatting with it. You have a situation where you can go to the, as they call it, respectfully, the police records. I don't know why they insist to call it criminal records. I mean, police records, we go there and we pay a fee, and, you know, on it says, well, no recorded convictions and so on. So that's a way for you to say, well, there's nothing there. One was asking, well, what if there is something there that the police has had historically for some reason, traffic, whatever the things are? Would you be able, as a person, to go and say, well, what is in your file, like you can at immigration, like you can at health services, like you can at education, to say, well, you know, what does your high school transcript look like? I don't know. Those are the things, first for policing, and for the other ones that you'll be able to do if it's a historical event, nothing to ongoing to prejudice any potential witness or case or the like.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an interesting situation that it's hard to know exactly how it's going to work because, you know, we're still, it's not in effect yet. But certainly the data protection law is pretty strong about if you have information that isn't going to impact ongoing investigations or some of the other reasons why you can't have it, then you get it. So,
and even now, I mean, the historically, we usually, I don't know if you remember, but in previous years on this day, we used to present the annual statistics for FOI, and because government has switched to a calendar year, January to December, our stats are now going to follow that as well. So perhaps we could come back in January, February, March, whenever we have our statistics, and discuss that. So I can't give you the latest statistics, but I know that historically the number one government department was always immigration, and it's mostly people asking to see their own file, as I understand. But the number two, for instance, last year was the police. So there's quite a lot of information. There's a lot of interaction under the FOI law with the police, and so they obviously do release a lot of information. Now, whether you're going to see specifics, you know, we don't really know. We can't really tell because it would depend on the circumstances. But they do have a very active, FOI office and respond to a lot of requests.
Yeah, my impression is that they're, because of the fact that they do receive so many requests, they have a good understanding of the law and they understand when it is appropriate to release documents. We have had a few appeals as a result of RCIPS decisions, but nothing untoward. I mean, it's not like they're refusing and there are a lot of appeals and we're overturning their decisions. So I think it's fair to say that, as far as we're aware, they're making good decisions in terms of what they discuss. Yeah, what
happens? One way of looking at it is to say those departments that deal with subjects that affect people's lives most are the ones that are getting most requests. So if it's something that is fairly theoretical, you're not going to get a lot of FOI requests. But if it affects people's lives very directly, then those are the departments. And that's why immigration and police and other departments like customs and so on are getting a lot of requests. And
it shows, as you shared, you know, why the jurisdiction is so high on the list of people accessing the information. We certainly have an opportunity to engage our callers. 1-800-534-TALK in the studio. You know, we had a chance to maybe learn a little bit more. You know, Sandy Ann, thank you very much for joining us as we go to our phones now. As we say in the studio, you know, you don't need to put on your seatbelts for the headphones. I don't know. I use it to keep my hair in place. If I need to do the scene, let's go to our phones. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Wow, I thought it was going to be hold forever and ever and ever. Anyway, good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
The lady ombudsman, I want to explain something to you, ma'am, because I think I have a major case that I would like some assistance through your office on. A few years ago, I did an FOI on immigration, and the information I requested was released to me. So I published it. I got sued by 4 entities, and the Chief Justice put an injunction on the entire FOI. It didn't have any individual names in it. The only thing that was disclosed in it was the businesses, the title of the jobs, the amount of the salary that they were earning, how long the work permit was for, and what country they were from. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
And I got sued. So I think we need to clarify that fact that the Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands can intervene in a very strong sense and put an injunction on an FOI that has been released to an individual who at the time could do whatever, because once, as far as my understanding of the FOI law is, that once an FOI has been released to you, that is your document, that is your information, and you can publish it, as we see most media houses do in this country. And I had a community page on Facebook of which I published it on, and I was sued by the four big corporate companies through their attorney Maples and Calder, and it was banned from being released. It was banned from being shared. It was banned from being utilized, that information being released ever again to anyone in the public. So I know you stated that, people might not know of repercussions if there's any, but my problem with that whole situation was if it was released by the FOI manager, which is a government FOI manager, they were not held accountable. Only I was held accountable. And I want to know if I can sue the government for what they put me through in that regard.
Well, let me start by saying that it's not my position to be able to advise you about who you may or may not be able to sue. So I'm not able to make any comment on that. But I will turn your question over to Jan, because I believe he's more familiar with the situation that you're speaking about.
Yes, I am, yeah. Well, it's what we said about personal information, even under FOI, is that, general information is released to the world at large, but personal information is usually released to the individual, him or herself. And is not released further. Now, the problem is, or maybe the misunderstanding is that people are not only identifiable by their name. They could be identifiable by any other factor or any other combination of factors. So if you have somebody's position and somebody's nationality in some countries, that could identify. If you know who the employer is as well, that could identify that particular individual. So I think that particular case was an example of that, where information was inadvertently released by Immigration Department, and there were no names, as you say, but the individuals, or the fear was that the individuals, or at least a number of individuals, could still be identified, even though their names were not on that list. And that's an example of that. So that's information that is considered personal information, and it would also be considered personal under data protection legislation.
Okay. Well, perhaps this is where, as we look at it from the data protection, the FOI legislation, we can get to a point where information is in the public domain, we're still respecting individuals' privacy. All right. Any final thoughts, Mom? Okay. Well, thanks very much. And yeah, sorry. Hello? No. Okay. Well, we'll pause and take that first break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion and invite you to call if you wish to share. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Autumn is here, and Ed says, Anita, let's have a huge sale September 26, 27, 28, and 29. So, what do? I bring the savings to you. Stop by International Lighting and save 20 to 50% off selected items, including chandeliers, ceiling fans, light fixtures, and LED bulbs. While you're there, go upstairs to the bathroom pallets and take 20% off bathroom cabinets. Don't miss the linen department. Take 20 to 50% off rugs, sheets starting at $14, 8-piece comforters from $48, curtains starting at $6, 20% off all household items. International Lighting and Design, upstairs and downstairs, Ed's Plaza North Sunway. Open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 949-5141. And for outdoor shopping, stop by the entrance of the Boddentown Church of God Chapel Saturday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and take 20% off items. In addition to all of these savings, spend $25 or more and be entered in the drawing for a chance to win a round trip to Denver, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, Miami, Jamaica, or Honduras. Drawing will take place on December 22nd.
Attention Breeze Fusion fans and supporters, registration is now open for the 12th annual Grand Cayman Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run. We are calling on you to help us in raising funds for the NCBO and for the John Gray High School Musical Department. Registration is only $15 for adults if registered by September 30th. The walk run will take place on Saturday, November 3rd at the Smiths Bacadeer in Grand Cayman. But you must be registered by September 30th to take advantage of the lower fees. Visit CaymanActive.com to register today or stop by Radio Cayman on Elgin Avenue.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining us in the studio. We have Miss Sandra Herbison, our ombudsman. Is that the right term nowadays to call? Okay, and the deputy, Jan Liebers. Hey, he's a fine gentleman, you know, from the wine to the chocolate to the football. Hey, Jan? If it's Belgium, it's
if
good.
You say so.
Yeah, hey, listen, man. All right, we got a couple of calls. Let's go to our phones. Okay. Welcome, good afternoon.
Yes, it seems I got cut off, Dwayne, or something happened. Anyway.
Something happened, but we didn't cut you off, Mom. Sorry about that.
Okay. The problem I have with that whole scenario is that it should not have been the receiver of that information that should have been penalized. And I got no assistance from Mr. Liebers. He was absolutely useless in this situation. The fact that I was given an FOI released to me, and then I was sued by the Chief Justice along with these other four conglomerates, the country needs to know that. They need to know why that occurs. It was not personal information. It was information that was already out there. Nobody could identify the individuals in the job unless you worked there. That's the only situation that could have been deemed personal. The fact of the matter is we need to probably tie our shoelaces a bit more with respect to when we're releasing FOIs, that the receiver is not the one that's penalized for whatever use they make of it, versus the person who releases it, the FOI manager, ensures that that information can be released before they do so. Because I thought I was treated very unfairly by Mr. John Liebers and his office. And I'm sorry, but you did absolutely nothing to assist me. I personally think that you should resign from that job and make a Caymanian get it to begin with.
Sometimes, Jan, I like people to be taken to task, but sometimes there's a respectful way.
Well, I mean,
Can I just interrupt for a minute?
Yep.
So I wasn't here at the time, but one of the things I want to say to you, and I know Jan would say the same thing, is that I'm very sorry that you go through something like that. I'm sure that you didn't do anything that you thought was illegal. You thought it was given to you and that it was properly given to you. And so I can understand that you would be very upset by getting involved in some sort of a legal proceeding because of something that you did that you thought was okay to do. The problem is that the Information Commissioner's Office at the time didn't make that decision. That was a decision made by an information manager in the government department. So the Information Commissioner had no jurisdiction over that matter because it hadn't come to appeal. So Mr. Liebers couldn't do anything to help you, and I'm sure he would have liked to have done something to help you, and I'm sure he can tell you that on his own. But what happened then is that you're taken off to the court on a judicial review proceeding, and there was no real status for the Information Commissioner's Office, and there wouldn't be status for the Ombudsman's Office necessarily either in that instance. And I think it's very unfortunate that a mistake was made and that you got involved in that without meaning to be involved in it. And hopefully information managers make the right decision, and I think they do most of the time. And again, I'm just sorry that for your sake, it sounds as though it was a very difficult situation. And I hope it doesn't happen to anyone else.
Well, chances are. We do have another caller. Welcome, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, dear. Just want to find out, medical information of a patient, is it exempt from freedom of information? And if it gets in there, what can a person do to resolve that situation?
Well, it's covered by the FOI law. If it's in the hands of a government entity, a public authority such as the HSA, HSA is another entity that gets a lot of FOI requests, so they deal with those quite a lot. I'm not entirely sure. There may be a procedure in place to release that information already, and that would apply then rather than FOI. But if you're denied something, you certainly could request it under FOI. And of course, I am talking about information relating to you yourself.
Only you,
not necessarily information about someone else. Yeah.
So you can't request to somebody else unless they give you authorization.
Well, you can request it, but I mean the chances are that it would be exempted because that is one of the exemptions under the law.
In respect for you sharing, for instance, the Lansing survey, they have a process by which if you wanted to go inspect the information on their registers about your property, you can. There's a fee to be paid depending on what you're getting. So that's not going to circumvent the FOI legislation. And the health services, I think if you want a copy of your patient record, you can go to their section upstairs on the second floor, request it, and they'll give you what it is that you're asking for, whether it's for a period or for the whole time. Mm-hmm. That's on you. So FOI may not necessarily have to be utilized in that instance because you're asking for your information.
Exactly.
Yes, and that will change a little bit under data protection in the sense that, of course, as we said, data protection is applicable to the private sector as well. So private clinics will also then have an obligation to provide the personal information of the applicant, basically. So that would not be under FOI, that would be under data protection. But yeah.
Which is important. I think people might be able to, perhaps the education health, because those are two things that I think are fundamental to all of us. We would inquire. Maybe over the years we've been to different private clinics. We just want to make sure the information there is accurate for some reason. Always while you're there, just check. Hey, is my name and address in your files correctly? We update the insurance. Well, update the other stuff as well.
Yep, yeah, that's very true.
Okay. Yeah. The things sometimes we take for granted only because it comes to head that we realize how important it is. Now, with the data protection legislation and with the FOI legislation, some people may think one sort of supersedes the other, but they're sort of complementary, or are they competitive?
They're meant to work together, and in many jurisdictions, they're actually one law. Yeah. Being from Canada, I was aware of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy legislation because that's mainly how it runs in Canada. So when I came here, I found it very interesting that there was only the FOI law. And there was no data protection law. So I think we're catching up a little bit in that respect. I don't think that it's that terrible that there wasn't the data protection law prior to this, but it's good that we're catching up to it.
And there's an FOI law review happening actually at the moment, and that's exactly one of the reasons that's happening, and that's happening now is because of the potential for a conflict between freedom of information and data protection. So some of the elements relating to personal information, and particularly things like amending your personal information, for instance, which are under FOI right now already, are basically going to be taken out of there and will now fall under data protection. And so we want to make sure that that's a fairly seamless, or as seamless as possible, a transition from one to the other, and that's clear. And also that FOI does not undermine any of the rights that exist, because as I said, those are actually much more strongly worded, so that FOI does not undermine any of those rights in data protection.
All right, well, when we take this final break, come back, you can share more with us. We talk about International Right to Know Day, the importance of it, the things that we can do, and the wonderful opportunities we have under legislation to make sure that we have access to what perhaps in your mind you think should be public, but if you don't ask, you won't know. All right, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation. The 2018 Fall Labor Force Survey, LFS, conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, starts on Sunday, September 30th, 2018. The LFS collects data on employed and unemployed persons. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households in all districts. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the statistics law. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information. For more details, please call the ESO hotline 516-3329.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us as we welcome opportunity to continue to be able to not only celebrate the Freedom of Information and the International Right to Know Day, but get more familiar with the office, become comfortable with making requests under our FI legislation. Our ombudsman, Ms. Sandy Hermiston, together with Jan Liebers, one of the deputies there. Thank you so much for joining us. I think people are getting to the point where we're starting to appreciate that this should be, as a matter of course, not something that as an afterthought. But FY legislation, we recall when it was first introduced, and as Jan, you mentioned, January will be 10 years that we're celebrating it. There was some talk along before the first days of, what is that, and how do I, and then within the second year of statistics, we've seen it increasing. But it's been around for a while.
Yes. I got a great email from the Center for Law and Democracy that had some trivia questions. And so I learned some things because I'm relatively new to the world of freedom of information on this side of the table anyway. Mm-hmm. So I was not aware. I asked Jan this question. He knew the answer. Yeah. He knew the answer, but I didn't. What was the first ever country to adopt a right to information law? And it was Sweden. Sweden, and here's the year, 1766. Imagine, 1766.
Wow.
Now, Sweden is also the birthplace of the modern Office of the Ombudsman.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my mind, Sweden is the place to be.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Someone to say so.
And then how many countries have national right to know laws? And the answer to that is over 120 countries have right to know laws. And the basis for these laws are in international human rights. It's the right to information is considered part of the right to freedom of expression. And, of course, freedom of expression is something that's contained in the Constitution here. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons that we have a freedom of information law, is because it's in the Constitution.
Yes, and the right to free expression is usually expressed in terms of the freedom to impart, but also to receive information. So that's why it's part of that.
See, information is power, and to be informed, you can, let's say someone decides they want to have a public meeting about something, maybe it's an environmental or an economic, importance to them. With the relevant, timely information, they can go out and say, well, here's what we have from, maybe a media house that got it, from the government or a report of some sort. And that informs a healthy democracy. But if you don't know, you can speculate, conjecture, next thing you know, innuendo, allegations of defamatory comments, and then there's a litigation, and you're back in the assembly. No, that's good.
You just need to get the information if you can. That's probably the best practice.
With the sort of the evolution of our legislation, its application, and people are people gradually becoming more accustomed, more willing, I think, to make a request and also to release without prompting.
Yes. Yes and no. I mean, I think on the one hand, there are a lot of people who are quite savvy and they know how the process works, But we find that, for instance, very few people or quite a lot of people don't realize that if you don't get a response within the 30 days that are allowed under the law, that actually constitutes a refusal of access. Mm-hmm. And you can then immediately, after 30 days, ask for an internal review by the chief officer. So you don't have to sit there and wait and wonder. Obviously it's a good idea to make sure that your request was received and make sure that they're working on a response. But if you don't actually hear back, you could actually go straight to an internal review, for instance, and that's just part of the process. It's one of those bureaucratic things, but it can work in your favor if you know about it.
Mm. Yes, likewise too with respect. I mean, like anything, you can always frustrate, delay, drag it out a bit. If you say, well, let me wait till 21 days before I just wait. Not saying that it happens, but
Well, it's human nature to some degree that I don't have to have that done for 30 days, so I'm going to do the thing I need done for tomorrow. But you're right about sometimes. It could be a temptation to drag it out. Right. I know there are some offices that are very good at releasing information promptly.
We do have a caller as we go to our phones. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling, and good afternoon to your guests. Is it my understanding that you have the ombuds?
Yes, sir. Ms. Anne Hummerston, and together with the Deputy Jan Liebers.
Yes, and Jan as well.
It's an honor to hear from you, sir.
Sure. My name is Ort Connor, and I just heard one person state that the reason that we have a freedom of information legislation is because it's in our Constitution. And I'd like to offer a correction to that statement, because if my memory serves me correct, I believe that we had freedom of information legislation long before we had our 2009 Constitution.
Yes, that's correct. Hi, Mr. Connor. How are you?
Also, correct me if I heard incorrectly. Someone said that they only became aware of the absence of not freedom of information legislation, but the what's the other piece of legislation that was being discussed?
Data protection?
Data protection legislation. And if that person was a now ombuds person, I'm a little bit surprised that she interviewed for a position. Whatever research that she did, that she only found out.
I knew before I got here. I knew that the data protection law was under consideration at the time.
You didn't say that,
well,
so you should make that quite clear. You really need to make that quite clear, because that wasn't what you said, and I found that to be surprising. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Connor, hi, how are you? The FOI law, the FOI principle or is actually in the Constitution. But you're right. I mean, I think the reference was to human rights. Is that right? Or
it's the right to freedom of speech.
That you were referring to. Yeah, the human rights. Yep. Human right to freedom of speech. Yeah.
All right. And as you shared, that we've seen some, review of our legislation. Perhaps will be like in some jurisdictions combine the two. Maybe it'll be separate and distinct, but still compatible.
They're compatible. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
And actually, a slight correction: in Canada, on the federal level, there are two separate laws.
There are in fact two separate. And when I was practicing law, I was dealing with provincial law where it was combined. But Jan is absolutely right. On the federal level, they have two separate offices.
That's right, yeah.
All right, well, this is where I think as a country we need to be very conscious of where we are and what it is that we're trying to achieve in order to protect, not just national security interests and the like in commercial or proprietary interests, but make sure that the people understand that, they elect a government who's supposed to be responsive, not dictating. Yeah. I'll make a political statement, Jan. I may have to retain your services.
Yes, well, I mean, I've always said democracy should be about more than voting every 4 years. But, the law is really about balance. It's not about, we're not WikiLeaks, and I've said that a lot of times too. We're not WikiLeaks. It's not about making everything open because that would not be appropriate either.
Mm-hmm.
There's a public interest in knowing a lot of what is being done and why decisions are made and what decisions are made. But there's also a public interest in protecting information from being heard. And that balance is exactly what the FOI law is about, and that's exactly what our office is trying to seek in every decision that we make when we deal with an appeal.
Well, one of the things that I'm encouraged in that some of the circles that we sit and sometimes chat, people are saying, well, we have this legislation that's in the public sector, great, but should we also have something, comparable in the private sector that, protects them to be able to do business, but we require them to be able to provide information when we want data protection, maybe one of those things, but maybe more than that at some point. And we talk about, horizontal rights and vertical rights and these different things, but where are we getting,
Well, I mean, FOI is about accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and I think accountability in the public sector works a little bit different from accountability in the private sector. In the private sector, there's a number of factors, whether it's shareholders or boards of directors or simply customers voting with their feet, that address accountability. And in the public sector, there are a number of different entities as well, or players or pieces of legislation, and not least of which the Auditor General and actually the legislative process itself. Of course, Parliament itself has a tremendous role to play in oversight. But there still is a gap there, and there still is a room or a perceived gap there for sort of the regular information that falls slightly outside of the realms, perhaps, of say the Auditor General or whatever, and that information is sometimes very important still to be accessible in terms of accountability.
Indeed, and I commend you for being a champion for celebrating the international right to know, so that people understand that it's not just in this jurisdiction or in this part of the world. It's not just the last 10 years, but we're looking at centuries. It's not just small governments, but larger democracies. And maybe as we challenge and champion things, we can help hold each other accountable, especially in the public sector. Really appreciate it, and certainly that invitation is a standing one to come on anytime that we can help. But come January, February, once your new starts are ready, you're welcome. Any closing thoughts, Ms. Sandy, that you want to share with us?
I just want to encourage people to use their rights, as Jan said last night. Use it or lose it. So don't be afraid to access your rights, and we can help you with that.
And I would also encourage everyone to keep an eye out for data protection and learn about that. And that's going to affect not just the public sector but the private sector. It's an important set of rights for individuals. So keep your eyes open and to be followed. And maybe we'll be back and discuss that one of these weeks or months.
Well, you just say the word, man. We'll put time in the schedule because it's important. I invite you to have a very safe, enjoyable, relaxing, and equally rewarding weekend.
Thank you.
All right, to our listeners, join us after we come back from our headline news. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
The
Insurance Managers Association, Cayman, continues to support Caymanian students with a scholarship fund that has helped 48 students since its inception. The IMAC Educational Scholarship Fund was formed in 1994 by insurance managers and industry service providers. The fund has raised over $3.9 million to date to support post-secondary education for Caymanians who would not otherwise have the financial means to attend. 6 new students were awarded scholarships this year, bringing the total number of current full-time students to 20. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has called on Germany to extradite supporters of a US-based Muslim cleric whom he blames for an attempted coup. Speaking in Berlin, he said Germany should designate followers of Fethullah Gulen as tourists. Chancellor Angela Merkel told a news conference that Germany needed more evidence against the group. Pope Francis has removed the priest at the center of Chile's clerical sex abuse scandal. In a statement, the Vatican said the pontiff had defrocked Fernando Caradima for the good of the church. The 88-year-old former priest had previously been sanctioned to a lifetime of penance and prayer for having sexually abused minors. And Facebook has been labeled deceptive by a campaign group for the way it handles information people use to make their account more secure. Many people use their phone as a second identity check when logging into their account. Investigations have shown this data is being used to customize adverts users see on Facebook. In the past, Facebook said the adverts were caused by software errors. Now it says they help personalize the site. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Tune in every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio, featuring Will Sinatra. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, reggae, and calypso, and an entertainment trivia section. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of Merengue Town. It's time to feel the rhythm, time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
The Advance Automotive Chevrolet $10,000 birthday giveaway is still on. Buy any new Chevrolet from Advance Automotive and enter to win $10,000 cash. Entries close 1st of December or after 100 cars sold, whichever comes first. Pick up a brand new Chevrolet Trax compact SUV, the most equipped SUV in its class. Now reduced to just $19,995. Get the best deal in Cayman and enter to win $10,000 cash. Visit the showroom on Owen Roberts Drive or visit AdvanceChevrolet.com for more details today.
It's big, it's hot, and it's sizzling.
Superstitch is making way for Christmas stock and is having a mad end of summer fabric clearance at Superstitch Fabrics on September 27, 28, and 29th.
Fabric for dresses, fabric for skirts, fabric for blouses. Superstitch even has fabric to cover your chairs and your what's it not. No, me what's it not. It's the biggest fabric clearance of the year, so don't miss it. 25% off most fabric.
50% off suiting fabric. Great discount on household items.
Superstitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real. You can recover. It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
I thought I was too far gone. I wasn't.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
The world is a beautiful place again. If you, your family member, or friend are in need of support, please contact Department of Counseling Services at 949-8789.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. And thanks very, very much for joining us and a chance now to speak with Mr. Brent Hydes. Now, I always know, right? I focus on you first and hope for Today Foundation. Maybe through this discussion, I may get you to blush a little bit, but we'll see if I can work on that. Brent, I'm going to share with you. Early on, a fellow said, look at a society that is being supported and nurtured. Everybody has a purpose and a plan. Everybody has a chance to contribute. And if you do it consistently, you draw closer to others who can lift you up, correct, guide, direct, keep you on a path. Makes a difference. I'm going somewhere with this, but I'm going to follow you along. Yeah. So as we look at what Sunday means, for the whole walk for recovery, we see that the partnerships that extend through not just the corporate but the individual. We see the efforts. We see primarily the young men who are seeing hope, not just for today, but they are building a stronger foundation as to what tomorrow can be. What do you think?
Yeah, you're so correct, Dwayne, because when I look at the individuals that are right now into Hope Foundation, Halfway House, and the relationships they're actually able to establish with their families, and the way I identify it, these people become better friends, better fathers, better children to their parents. So the whole cycle changes once that individual are able to find that ground, that common ground where he's actually focusing on trying to change his lifestyle.
And I think, too, when we think of that, as we look at it, you're talking about the life friendships, the changing dynamics that happen, the approach to our lifestyle, whether we start to eat and exercise, whether we start to focus, mental or spiritual, we're finding a grounding. But sometimes you're just drawing alongside someone who helps to encourage you in that new direction. Again, it may be a lifestyle choice beyond what you were prior. I can see you supporting Brandon in many respects.
I can never, Dwayne, honestly, I can never say enough. I am the operation manager of the facility. When I look at the board of directors that I have behind this operation, it's teamwork. Because we all recognize that individual in this community that struggle with substance abuse. And Cayman have many of them. Many times we don't take a closer look until it's a direct family member. And we say, wow, it's happening, and it's happening at my doorstep.
But talk about that support group, whether it's the board of an entity like, say, Hope for Today, or it's the family members, or is that Keenan to sponsor? Okay.
Yes. Dwayne, sorry, it's a pleasure to be here with you today, and to be here with Brent speaking about the Hope Foundation. And I think that it's, one of the pieces that you're talking about there is how it can work for everybody. Yeah. And for us, it's, a lot of times the people that are coming through our program are people that have encountered difficulties with the law. They've taken down a path that has led them the wrong way. But for a lot of people, if you can be struggling with an addiction, and because you see that you haven't been in trouble with the law, you think that there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. And so there's this comparison that, okay, well, I've never been arrested, I've never had any of those things done. And so one of the things that we've tried to do with all the different functions that we organize is to show that we're all the same in terms of being humans. Some of us suffer from addiction, and some of us who suffer from addiction have legal consequences, but we don't make us any less worthy of given a best chance to make it in society. And so what we're trying to do at the house is to reward those who are going to make the efforts.
Okay. As you share that, I was thinking, what was the play? Cut me, do I not bleed? We all bleed red in that sense. We all, in mind, in God's children. But Brent, when we think of it respectfully, the idea that we may still labor on the perceptions that this person who is having a drink with friends and still functioning, but every day is a drink with friends. But as long as he isn't stumbling out somewhere, or the guy who may seemingly be able to function, host a talk show, lead the parliament, sit on the judiciary, or whatever it is, right? Not identifying anyone specifically, that job or that perception of that person, yet the addiction you may not see, but the one who's, again, along the street side or onto something, you see that. And this is where I commend the efforts of Hope for the Day, because it makes us realize that there's all of us who is in
And first thing what we got to understand is whether it's drugs or alcohol, if it's a continued thing, it's progressive, and it will get worse. Eventually, there will be run-ins with the law. There will be fighting at home. There will be domestic violence at home. It will get worse.
But respectful too. It'll be you wrestling with yourself. It'll be your challenge to perform at your job, whether you work for yourself, whether you in your corner office or your cubicle. It's going to be that thing that's going to make it harder for you to be able to enjoy the quality of life until you come to grips with it and be able to access the services.
Since we're on this topic, what I want to remind you of, I was talking to Chris before we came in here, Dwayne, and we talked about we would like to give away 2 tickets to any caller, and you and I will discuss what caller that come in. But we would like to give away 2 more tickets.
Okay, so the first caller with blue hair.
Yeah, we would like to give away 2 more tickets to the walk on Sunday, and then Susan could then take the information and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, well, Susan said if you need a job, all right, so you heard it from Brent, and I always thank you, on behalf of the organization, the board, and everything to come on. So the tickets will be there. We'll ask a question. Is that what we're going to do? 2 to 1 person or 1 to 2 people?
Well, what we could do, what we could do, Dwayne, is simply just come up with a number between us and see how many people call in and reach that number.
Let's do that. Brent always likes to play games, He used to play marvelous ones, He wasn't that good.
I was pretty good at that, too.
And I think it's important to note that it's, so for the idea behind the tickets is to help raise money for the foundation, but it's not to be a requirement to participate in the run. So anybody can come out and run, whether or not you have a ticket. We want as many people to come out and enjoy the run and walk. The tickets are purely to participate in the raffle. Okay. So we don't want to exclude anybody from being able to participate in a run walk because they might not have the money to buy a ticket. The idea behind the run walk when it first came out was to help build community, gathering of society, to help people see and destigmatize a little bit about people that are transitioning maybe from prison or drug court back into society. And I think what's different about our cause than a lot of others is people look at people that have gone through the prison system or the drug court and sometimes will have a negative view on look at what they're doing to themselves. And, somebody might have had a negative experience with okay, somebody broke into my car, somebody did all these different things, so why should I support these people that have done wrong? And what we've been trying to do with the idea of building community is that is it rehabilitation or punishment? And that people make mistakes, and if there's a program that can be in place to help people get on the right path, it's like anything else. Sometimes some people need more help than others in learning about the path of life, and we're hoping to help put those people on the path. And when we first started the run, I think we're on our 6th annual run now, it wasn't, I think we maybe had 30 or 40 people, and every year it's grown a little more, and it's grown a little more, and I think that we're doing well on the destigmatization process, and people are coming out and having fun and willing to support the cause.
And the thing is, as I commend you for it, the idea that you're starting to get people to understand that it's all of us, there by the grace of God go I. It could be any of us, but it's all of us because it affects us in a very direct way. And if we get our community to understand that we're working together. Now, we're going to ask Brent some more from you, but it is going to be this Sunday morning at the Public Beach?
Yes, it's going to take place this Sunday, starting at 6 a.m. sharp, hopefully.
Sharp, hopefully.
It definitely will take place. People kind of drift in on Sunday morning, those that kind of go out and show up a little late, but we want to give everybody a fair opportunity to show up.
6 o'clock Sunday morning.
6 o'clock Sunday
morning. And running at 6, and then the walkers...
6:30.
So the walkers will start first, and then the runners will start 15 minutes after the walkers go out.
Those are on skates and bicycles, but we can just...
Well, just bring out your dog. You bring out your dog, you bring out your cat, you bring out a family member, just come out and be a part of it.
You want to take the 6th caller? If you want to take it, be the 6th caller, since it's the 6th one?
Let Chris do it.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I like the let's do it.
All right, so Susan runs that. So we're going to say, if you're the number 6 caller, you get a first ticket.
Right.
One ticket for one person, and we get a ticket for somebody else.
Right.
And this ticket gives you a chance to go right into the raffle to win some excellent prizes. Brent can tell us about that when we come back from the break. Here are the 2 numbers to call, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. You want to win a prize? Hey, who doesn't want to win something? Look at the prize. You get to hear Susan's voice, and that itself is worthwhile. Yeah. So you're going to call. We're going to know whether the 6 and the 6th one gets the ticket. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time. Praise time on Radio Cayman. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I'm gonna walk them golden stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers. Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
There's nothing to go back to. Give me Jesus in the morning.
For the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout with joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name. Praise time. Praise time. Jesus in the morning. Yeah. Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And really, when I look at our community and look at how together we can strengthen our partnerships by each person doing as much as each person can do, it makes a big difference. Brent Hydes, together with Chris Burke, as we look at Hope for Today Foundation and the 6th annual Walk for Recovery, the importance, I think, Chris, as you emphasized earlier, the importance of us being able to get people to appreciate that, yes, there is a perception, there is a stigma, but the idea that if we're all in this together, recognizing the importance of our collective efforts, we're going to make it, man.
What a good point. The whole month of September is Recovery Month. And, we've been hearing a lot of messages out about Recovery Month, people talking about Recovery Month, but this is the finale, the grand finale of Recovery Month, the Hope for Today Foundation 6th annual walk run for recovery. We're reaching out for all of those that work in the field of recovery and whatever part they play to come out and be a part of the finale. And let us all come together as a community to see how best we can come together as a group and support these individuals in the community struggling with substance abuse issues. Cayman is home to many people struggling with substance abuse. We have a lot of people here that work in the different entities of rehabilitation. I think it's time for all of us to step up and come out and show ourselves.
Now, Chris, what do you think of that? And you say that each year we see an increase in participation, not just the sponsors and the people who participate in the raffle, but actual physical present individuals who are either walking or running and being there for the celebrations after. I mean, the beach at that time of morning is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. and as we mentioned off at the break, it's also early enough so that people have time still on Sunday to get to church. Mm-hmm. So, we like to make it nice and early, and it also encourages people to go as fast as they can. It's
it's a motivation, huh?
It's a motivational tactic to do your best time.
And you're supporting a good cause, because I think, Brent, something that you shared in the past and referenced this earlier, we may look at that person who has an addiction, whether it's alcohol or whether the drug is, some other drug. We see them and we castigate them. Even though they are maybe your family and friends, sometimes we're frustrated. But if we help them and we keep, not enabling, but we enable them to find, support, to find rehab, they get back into life, to laughing, to loving, to enjoying.
Oh, exactly.
Being able to do the things that, whether we're praying for them, praying with them, physically taking them to the meetings while they're there, whatever it is. But, each little thing, Chris, makes a difference.
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of the sports world, the best coaches are the coaches that put their players in the position to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Government is tasked with making the best possible situation for its people to succeed, and so in recovery and through the transitional house, what we're trying to do is put people in the best situation to help them succeed in transitioning back into life, because the toll that addiction takes on an individual as well as on the people associated with this individual. So a lot of times you've burned a lot of bridges by the time you've come to seek help, and so it's important that there is an organization or two on island that can be there for those people that are reaching out for help.
Chris makes a point, Brenda. You've shared, I tell you, maybe not as succinctly as Chris says, those people in recovery burn a lot of bridges. They're a family. I mean, all of us can think of, oh man, you told me you're going to use this money to pay you or whatever, you're going to buy this. And we don't want to give up on them. But what if we all do? Having hope for Today Foundation as one of those entities.
But again, that's why we find, particularly in places like Cayman, even, I mean, not as big as it is in the United States or anywhere else, but today that's why we're finding people out on the streets. Because they have made a lot of promises to their family and their friends, and people get tired of hearing, this time is going to be different. People get tired of that. So you have to understand the fact that that's why the Hope Foundation Halfway House was established. That when people are put in this predicament, that they do have a refuge, and they're willing to change their lifestyle, change their behaviors, and just put their effort and the energy into seeking change.
And change isn't easy. I mean, some of us have been promoted from one office to another. I mean, I don't like this office. Yeah, the salary and the pay and the title is good, but just that little change for some people, they prefer to be on the second floor. Now they're on the fourth floor.
I mean, just think for 1 minute if you have someone that was actually seriously talking about finding recovery. At the same time, they don't have a place to stay, a bed to sleep in, water to bathe with, and food to eat. And this is the major role that Hope Foundation plays. Even when they're doing treatment or whatever they may be doing, their primary focus is that I need a job. But so we take away all of that worry. We take away all that worry of having to wonder where they're going to find housing, where they're going to find food. All those small things are basic necessities a human person needs to survive. And we take away that worry. They don't have to worry about that stuff. Then they can focus on their recovery. That a job doesn't become the primary thing that they think. They go into treatment. They go into treatment, and the minute they leave, say, one-on-one counseling, the first thing that hits their mind, but I don't have a job. Where am I going to sleep? Where am I going to eat?
Yeah. Chris, as Brent shares that structure, that accountability that Halfway House can provide, many of us take for granted that, yes, we're going to go home this evening. Yeah, we worked hard. Maybe we don't have the savings that we want, but there's a roof, there's some food. We have some of the things covered. But that person who's in recovery, who has, maybe exhausted that last nerve or that last family member who was willing to extend, and for that night, maybe not quite sure where he or she's going to end up. But in this case, the young man, Halfway House, gives them the recourse. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's a safe place because, one of the things they talk about early in recovery is either people, places, and things are what you have to be careful for. And if you think we're a very small community, so it's hard for people, particularly if they're just coming out of prison, where are they going to go that's not close to places that were harmful for them? So we're giving people a safe place, So we want to give them the best chance to succeed. And what's great about the small ecosystem of a house is learning how to communicate and get along with other people. And to watch these young men who, a lot of whom have had traumatic upbringings, they've been in difficult places, and to watch them turn around their lives is actually very inspirational. And Brent and I talk about this ourselves, is we get, I think, probably more out of it than anybody else, because what we're getting to learn from these people that are making all the efforts. And I say that in, it's maybe more so for me, because I don't know if anyone puts in more effort into this than Brent. And, we'd be lost without him. And he understands the journey well. And, that's we talk about that too, the idea that if you're able to relate to somebody that's from your background, your neighborhood, and your community, and you watching them succeed, it takes away one of your excuses in that, well, I can't succeed, I have this, I have that going against me. And so the more people that we have in our community that take that excuse away, the better we are. And I think in terms of mental health, if you look at where we are in Cayman now with the Behavioral Health Center, with the Alex Panton Foundation, with the Bridge and the Hope Foundation, the awareness of mental health on the island is really, really growing. And I think that we've come a long way to, if you think of where we were 30, 35 years ago, and like these were just not topics we would talk about.
That's the thing, that access, so accessibility, the availability of information, but equally, all the idea that there are so many people, and I think, Brent, the example that Chris sort of demonstrates through you, empathy is important, but when people are relatable, when they can point to someone and say, well, the first man who ran, the 11-second, 100-yard dash, what? Now he's in almost 5 seconds, It can be done. Once it's done, it becomes possible for the next person to be able to do it because the path has been paved. Yep. Now, for Sunday, Brent, you want everybody to come out bright and early?
Before I go any further, Dwayne, I could never say enough, about Foster's Food Fair and their staff, and the way they have accommodated the foundation and allowing us to go to their stores and sell tickets. We got Marcus Cumber. We can never say enough about these individuals. All the people that have continued to support this organization, to allow us the privilege to work with these individuals, to help them to become better citizens of this community. We humbly ask every individual to get up early Sunday morning, come out, and let us hit the pavement for recovery. Let us recognize and try to remove some of the negative stigma that surround the disease of addiction. I would go as far as to say in Cayman, there's probably every family member on this island that has been touched by someone in their family that struggle with the disease. So I would just humbly ask everyone to come out, put on your shoes, put on your slacks, come barefoot, bring your dog, bring your cat. It doesn't matter. Let's all get together for one primary purpose, and that is to help these individuals in this community that are struggling with substance abuse, that we may continue to encourage and support and to give these individuals hope. We give hope as a group.
That's true, man. Chris, closing thoughts, man? What do you want to share with us?
It's hard to follow that. That's,
I'm sorry, I should put you first.
No, I'm looking forward to Sunday. I'm looking forward to seeing people gather for a good cause, and we're one of many good causes, and we're just happy to see people come out, enjoy the Sunday morning, do something healthy and athletic, and spend time in the community. Yeah. So thanks for inviting us to be here today.
Well, thanks very much.
And just add to that, we're going to be cooking up a little food. So I thought what we'll do is we'll bring them out to burn off some calories, and then we'll give them some good chicken wings to put some of those calories back on.
There you go, man. There you go. It's a good place, a good opportunity, and as you said, it's a great cause. And we're seeing the differences over the years, and we're seeing many of the young men in particular start to become not just more, enthusiastic, but they're showing that they have a rekindled love and a hope. Yes. Not just for today, but what a promise for tomorrow. Gents, Sunday will be another success of prayer. And we'll
yes,
see
and
what
there are trophies
for
first, second, and third place runners and walkers. We do have first, second, and third medallions for the children. So bring out your kids. Let us all come out and be a part of this finale.
All right, man. Thanks very much. It is the month of September. We started our things with the, our counseling center over at government because of perspective. As you said, we're closing up with a capstone of hope for today's walk, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Well, anytime, Chris, you guys want to come back and chat with us, always a pleasure. Great. To our listeners, be a part of it. Good things happen this weekend to improve the health and welfare and well-being of all of our people. Certainly invite you to participate very objectively.
Here, so they can always just come and tell their friends to go to Cayman Active. They can find us, hook us up there.
There you go, man. And of course, Monday rolls around. We invite you to come and join us in the morning for the record with Mr. Art Corner. Come back for Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. It's going to be our monthly, mental health matters, because this Monday coming is the first Monday in the month. So mental health matters with Dr. Borden. Until then, be blessed.
Thanks.